Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, how are my snipers doing today? I hope you guys are doing fantastic. Listen, today we're talking about the one and only Kaspa. In 48 hours, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to the Crescendo version 1.0.01. Listen, by the time this video comes out, it's going to be roughly 24 hours from the big update, and I am super excited. If you guys don't know, pretty much this coin is going to pack a punch by 10 times the amount, and I am super excited here just to show you, a demonstration. This is how it's going to look like. The speed of Kaspa compared to all of these other big coins and chains. And here we go. Here is the video. We could see 10 blocks per second for Kaspa. That is what's happening tomorrow. We are currently at 1 block per second. So we are slower than Hyperliquid, right? Because at the current, we are 1 BPS, right? Something like Hyperliquid, or sorry, we can see Kaspa right here, right? Kaspa, current version, 1 block per second. Something like Hyperliquid has 2, and then the rest are so much slower. We can see Bitcoin, Jesus, so slow. But look at this. Look how fast we are going to be starting May 5th. It's like you won't even be able to recognize Kaspa, okay? This coin, this technology is going to seriously cause strides in the market, in the crypto sphere. I am super excited because the crazy thing is, right, the ultimate goal is to get to 100 blocks per second. So once again, if we focus on this one over here, we can see how, we're still at a good pace, right? We're still at a good pace. Faster than Sui, faster than Solana, Ethereum, Litecoin, obviously Bitcoin, absolute turtle. But Hyperliquid does beat us. And then we can see May 5th, we are going to be pack-a-punching. It just looks like the screen is kind of just blinking right at this point with how fast it's moving. And eventually, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to be 10 times the amount of the 10 blocks. So eventually, from the current position we're at right now, from 1 block, we will be at 100 eventually, which is crazy, right? Obviously, we are still many steps away from that. We are going to celebrate one step at a time, which is the 10 blocks per second. Super excited. For me, this means this final days of Kaspa and its low price are coming to an end. Of course, just because we pack a punch right away does not mean we will skyrocket instantly in price. But I do believe that, when things are going to have the green light for the crypto market, for Bitcoin going up, for altcoins going up, whether it's before the altcoin season or during altcoin season, I believe Kaspa will be pumping like no other coin because the technology is actually really insane. Now, one other news that I do want to cover before we jump into the technical analysis and some of the other things is that, people are complaining that Mexi is selling off Kaspa, causing manipulation, saying this is the reason why this coin will never, ever pump. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, right? We can see if we actually go over here, right? If we go over here, that, no surprises that CAS is the third worst performing coin in the past week. I don't care how good the tech is. We're not going to win if Mexi continues to control price action. Get your coins off this scam exchange now. And that was April 30th. So, you know what? Do exchanges have a little bit of power over these coins? Sure. But the reality is price action is a normal thing, right? Price action is a normal thing. We expected sell-offs from roughly 11 cents, right? So when we got to here, right, and there was some kind of sell-off, I mean, just a price action, if you know how to read price action, this was kind of expected that this coin was going to sell off a decent amount. We talked about in previous videos, I talked about on my Discord that I expected some like bounce off of this green box, and that is exactly what happened. We bounced off this green box, and then we started to go up, right? So for me, this is just something that's inevitable. I don't really care that an exchange is, manipulating and selling here and there because it doesn't really matter. I mean, the price action was going to be the price action regardless. We talked about how it was going to ping pong off of the 11-cent mark and sell off back to roughly 8 to 8.5 cents before it goes back up. And that is exactly what happened, right? So it's just predictable at this point when price action right? We know the price action when you read the markets, with Bitcoin and how much volume is coming into the markets and stuff, right? Very, very easy. So something like this has is going to have zero impact in my opinion. This is one of those things where, people just don't understand how the markets work overall. And, here's the thing, ladies and gentlemen, right? Exchanges, they sell sometimes at a certain price, but then they buy lower, right? They know how all of this operates, right? So even something like Mexi could have sold, let's say, roughly at 10.5 cents and rebought at 8.5, because the thing is, that's how they make money. And they are the whales, right? Obviously, Mexi is just one exchange. There's multiple exchanges, there's other big whales and institutions involved. But I mean, that is ultimately how price action and manipulation works. So, do not worry. Do not worry. Overall, when we talk about price action, right, we do expect price to go at least down to, the 8.7 cents. That's because we have this 4-hour order block. We most likely will be ranging between 8.5 to 10.5 cents before we break out. I do expect Bitcoin to have a little bit of a retracement. That is at least what I want to see, is Bitcoin to have some type of pullback, right? Because I did expect a pullback for Bitcoin, but I did say that it is likely that we will sweep certain candles, certain liquidity before we dump. So we can see that even just for something like Bitcoin, we went, into this imbalance over here. We sold off, and Bitcoin will most likely continue going down, a couple $1,000. It is totally normal because Bitcoin also is at a very big, massive, massive zone. But look, Bitcoin goes down a couple thousand, Kaspa will go down a couple percent. That is fine. The bigger picture is still very, very bullish, right? Overall, right now, if you ask me, is it a good time to buy? I'd say, yeah, anything under like 10 cents, you're honestly getting it for a prime price, because I believe Kaspa will be hitting, upwards of $2 easily. That's going to be almost, a little bit more than 50 billion market cap, people. So for me, this is one of those coins that will do very, very well this cycle. I'm super, super excited. If you needed more convincing or confirmation, I mean, the bullish sentiment is 89% from the community. Now, obviously, that is a very, very small metric. You got to still always do your research. But I mean, literally, I showed you in the beginning of this video that this coin will become 10 times the coin it is currently right now. But that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know what you guys think. I love you guys so, so much. I love this coin so much, and I cannot wait to see the beautiful future that lies ahead of Kaspa. Goodbye.